Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully you're having a great Thursday or a great week. It's Thursday morning, so it's time to get close to the weekend. Hopefully you're playing some golf. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know it is brought to you by Titleist and the Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls. When it comes to golf balls, we have a lot of choices. The good news is Pro V1, Pro V1X, and Pro V1X Left Dash offer the ultimate performance choice and really cover any combination of flight, spin, and feel you need. Titleist Pro V1 is the greatest combination of speed, spin, and feel in the game, and the best choice for most players. Pro V1 is exceptionally long with mid-flight trajectory, maximum short game spin, and a very soft feel. Pro V1X is perfect for golfers who prioritize total performance but want higher flight and firmer feel. The higher peak height that you get from Pro V1X can add distance and maximum stopping power into the green. Pro V1X Left Dash is for players who want maxed out speed, high flight, and spin control. Left Dash is also engineered to be low spinning on full swing shots. I'm a Pro V1X guy. I like the high ball flight, little added spin, always helps me out. But there's a Titleist golf ball that best fits your game, and you owe it to yourself to find out. To learn more, visit Titleist.com today. Excuse me. So we're back. We're back another Thursday. It's been a busy one, a busy week. We got the Open Championship starting up. You're watching this on Thursday. I'm recording this on Wednesday night. Hopefully going to bed a little early. I'm going to get up, actually go play a little golf, and then watch a little bit of the recorded Open Championship. So I love the Open. It's great. It's a whole lot of fun. Getting up early, watching the rounds. Hopefully the weather gets a little nasty for at least one of the rounds because that's always fun. And then, we should see what Royal Troon has to offer, and hopefully we'll see a great major to finish off the year. But going to be an exciting week. And yeah, been hitting some golf balls, been trying to get out and hit as much as I can, and then been actually on my mat, my net, my backyard, kind of working on the swing a little bit, just trying to, as this year's progressed, I've kind of gone up in handicap like 2 strokes. I'm at an 11-2 at the moment, and it's just I've got this 2-way miss, and it's just basically I know I've got a lot of bad habits that I've been getting away with that I've been able to manage. And then this year, I think they're all really compounding, and they've gotten worse to the point where it's causing me a lot of problems. So I've been out in the net, in the backyard, just working on hitting like just 7 irons, just working on my takeaway, trying to get a little less shut at the top, and just trying to kind of figure that out. And when I do that, and I do it a little bit better, the swing looks a little better, the club's less shut at the top. I mean, it's still shut, but it's a little less, and I hit it really solid. So there's a little less fear of going left with that, but I've got to get my kind of low point max or dialed in there, because my biggest thing now is that when I do it right, my miss is just fat, is just exceptionally fat. So I've got to work on still getting into the ball, getting the low point at the right spot. But other than that, I've been kind of pleased with probably hit about 150 balls out there, just working on just hitting 7 irons and not trying to hit drivers, not trying to hit anything else, but just hitting some 7 irons, and it's been going well. So I got a really good show today. The second half of the show, we're going to jump into, I've got Dave Nevill from Callaway Golf on. We're going to talk about all details about Opus wedges. So the brand new Opus wedges are out. He'll break down kind of the difference between Opus Platinum, and kind of what's new, what's exciting, what's different, and what we've actually had. Interesting enough, he has a prototype in the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can. He's got a little prototype of the video, shows you what we had photos of Opus on tour for a while now, since like May, and we just didn't know it. So there's a little code name and all that. So it's pretty cool to see that. And it's a great interview. So after we talk about a club now, jump into that Dave Nevill interview about the Callaway Opus wedges. It's really, really good. So excited for that. But before we get into that, I was out hitting a club I've actually kind of had in my basement here just for a while, but I really haven't hit much of it. And then I finally decided to take it out and go in the backyard and hit some balls into the net. And I only have a 7 iron, so that's the unfortunate part. It's tough to get out and play, which is a 7 iron. But it is the New Level 480 DB. So if you're not familiar with New Level, they kind of started out as a direct-to-consumer brand. They were kind of one of the big ones. And now they've become more of a, they're trying to get away from that direct-to-consumer moniker and become more of a standard kind of golf club. And they're big into fitting and all that. They make some pretty cool stuff. I think their stuff is really nice. But This one here, they kind of had a legendary club called the 902 OS. I think it was 902 or 908. I think it was 902. The 902 OS. And this is kind of the replacement to that. Yeah, 902 OS. So the 902 OS is now being replaced by basically the 480 DB. And basically this is an oversized forged player's cavity back. So it is kind of a one-piece forged out of 1020 carbon steel. And it basically it's not built for speed. It's not built for crazy distance. It is built for feel and consistency. And it's a really good looking iron. It is definitely a little bit large when you set it down. When you first set it down, if you don't have anything else to compare it to and you just set it down, you don't really notice the size of it. When you go and set it down next to something like a T150 or something like that, there's definitely some size difference. But I do have to say, New Level did a good job with the shaping. The top line's actually really thin. It's got very, very minimal offset, and for the size of it, they packaged it very well. I think the long blade length from heel to toe is basically offset by kind of a very tall face as well, so it doesn't look proportionally as kind of long and skinny as some other irons might. But it's got a big old cavity in the back. It's got some nice milling, and then a single weight in the back where they can dial in swing weight when they do the build. So this one here, they just sent with a Modus 105, Nippon Modus Tour 105, but just a 7-iron, and we put some photos in the forum on it. I like that the sole is fairly narrow. It's got kind of a pre-worn leading edge on the front of it that you can see, and that kind of helps get that leading edge down a little closer to the turf, and then also as that club gets into the turf, kind of causes it to not dig as much. Now, I didn't hit this out on the course because, again, it's tough sometimes just to bring a 7-iron onto the course, unless you're just going to go drop a ball from wherever your 7-iron distance is. But overall, I really like the look. I think they did a nice job with these, and yeah, they look really classy. They're very simple, just the little new level logo, 480 dB, and really, really simple. So the 7-iron here comes in. They're not crazy strong loft. This comes in at 33 degrees. The 4-iron would be 24, and the pitching wedge 45. So pretty stock lofts in today's game. Not a ton of offset. They say the 4-iron's 3 millimeters, and this 7-iron is 2 millimeters. So if the 4-iron's only got another millimeter, it's going to look really good from address as well. I don't have it, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty darn good. And then yeah, bounce on the 7-iron 3 degrees, goes up to 6 in the pitching wedge, down to 1 degree in the 4-iron in terms of bounce. So these things here, satin chrome. Really nice look. They did a nice job with these. I think they look really, really solid. They have a nice fit and finish to them, and they should. They're not cheap clubs. Like these aren't New Level will come on and say like they're not here to make cheap direct to consumer clubs. They're here to make really, really nice forged irons, and that's what they've done. So this is a really solid club there. So took it into my net, and I do have to say sound and feel are good. Feel on it. It's pretty soft. I won't call it mirror soft, but it's pretty darn soft. You can tell it's a forged club. It's got just a little bit of click to it, even when struck dead center. It's got just a little bit of click to it in terms of hearing that and knowing that you struck it well. But the feel of it is a little firmer on the forged side compared to some other forged irons that I have in the collection and that I hit. I was out there that night hitting T150, these, the PXG 0317Ts, and the Blueprint S's. I was kind of had a handful of 7-irons out there, and part of just hitting different 7-irons, and then also just working on the swing. So hitting a bunch of 7-irons, hit a bunch with this, and it just hit a bunch because it was just nice to hit. But the sound and feel, like I said, a little bit of click, nothing too crazy. As you do miss-hit it, you'll notice a little more of that clicking, click to it. It'll get a little more audible, but a little bit louder. I mean, every iron kind of does that when you miss-hit it. This one, compared to some of those other irons, I did notice it more with this compared to that. I wouldn't say it's anything that's offensive or too loud or anything like that. But you definitely will hear a little click with it. When you strike its center, it definitely has a kind of powerful thud to it. You still get that that feel, that soft feel, but you get that audible click on center as well. But overall, it seemed to perform really well. I thought, I have basically my Bushnell Launch Pro, which is an unlocked model, full everything, and took that out there, and that's what I was hitting balls with that day. And hit a bunch of shots. Hit a bunch of shots with everything. I think I hit I said like 80 balls last night, and a bunch are with this 7-iron. So hit it. Thought it was really good. The mishits turned out to be directionally very good. Directionally went very straight. When you look at the overall like deviation of say offline, it was basically I'm 9.1 yards right with 9 yards deviation. So really the worst one. I really flared one shot that was like 19 right, and then the rest all were within like one left, 3.6 right. There was a 14 right and 8.6 right, but for the most part hit everything really really solid. And even when you did miss it, you noticed that directionally it went pretty well. There was very little curve to the shots as well. When you look at curve, I mean, there was nothing in double digits. I had a 9 left, a 9 right, but everything else was 5, 3, 7, 3, 3, 0. So, I mean, the directionally, in terms of curve, very, very little curve, which was kind of nice. The head felt really stable when you did hit kind of off the toe. The head didn't feel like it wanted to flop open or anything like that. It basically stayed, felt like it stayed pretty much pointed towards the target or wherever your hands kind of guided it at impact. But it was a good iron so far. So hitting this thing ball speed wise came in on an average of I got to pull it up here now because my iPad is slow. But ball speed came in as an average of 111.6, so almost 112. And I'll say, I mean, compared to my kind of gamer T150s, it's about 2 miles an hour slower. I was 114.8 that same night with the T150s. But again, the T150s have that built-in speed. The face is a little thinner. They're made for that. So this thing here is definitely built more around distance control and consistency. And consistency is, I think, the thing that you see right through here. When you look at a lot of the deviations for everything, you look at ball speed, 7.7 what was kind of the standard deviation. So really, I mean, at 111 being the number 111.6, I mean, you saw a 112, a 106, a 113, 114, 114, 106, I mean, 113. So, I mean, a lot of stuff that was really consistent there. And I wasn't striking it just dead center every time. That is for sure. So the ball speed, even though it's not like a fast, hot face, still really stayed well. I mean, it was definitely consistent. And I noticed, even when those shots that you miss, you look over and the drop wasn't terribly slow. So that was really good there. The launch angle was actually really close as well. 17.6 launch for the 7-iron, which again was a 33 degree. And compared to, say, my T150, which I'm used to, which was 18. So about half a degree difference. I'd have to look and see what the T150s are. I think they might be a hair stronger than this. So, I mean, launch-wise, coming out fairly tall. Everything on the screen, on the range, looked like it was coming out up and high. Like peak height. I think I have it here. Peak height on these, I mean, was basically 81, 82, 82, 94, 71, 82. So I had a bunch, everything in the 80s where, looking at the T150, you had, basically stuff a little bit more in the 90s compared. So a little bit flatter, but, nothing too crazy. And again, consistency there, just a very, very consistent, about 11 degrees of height difference, basically on average over these shots. So really, really good there. And then launching backspin. This was a little bit spinnier, which again I don't mind. I'm not a super high spin player. I mean, I'm a little bit more spinny with the irons, but I'm not super high spin. So when you get into just basically overall spin rate, it was about, so this one came in at 61.81 for a 7-iron. So 61.81, and I was kind of hitting a spinnier ball when you look at like Pro V1X compared to the T150, which was 57.62. So about 400 RPM difference in terms of those two. And, same thing. You look at consistency on this on this 480 dB, and you basically have 62.4, 64.2. I mean, I had a 59.49. And I mean, the highest was 64. So everything else is 6,000, 64.24, 60.49, 61.74. I mean, you just go down the list, and everything's really, really tight. Again, the deviation is just not there. It's extremely consistent. This thing here. So the carry number, it was about a half degree or half a club shorter than my T150. If you look at carry distance, it was, again, I keep having to go press the buttons here. 156.1, and again, I don't delete, really bad shots. I deleted one shot out of the 408 because I had one that I just flat chunked and it went at like 116 yards. So I got rid of that one. But everything else, I mean, again, 160, 162, 161, 157. There was a 145 that, didn't hit well, but stayed on line well. I mean, 160, I mean, just a lot of, the 160s there where in the T150, Had a couple 166s, 168, but there was, again, this was extremely consistent when you look at, again, the deviation of it. I mean, you're looking at, other than you take away a couple ones that were hit somewhat fat, 157, 160, 62, 61, 60. I mean, it's just you get on the line, and it's just a couple yards difference when you hit it even close to solid, which was really nice. These things definitely offer some, a player looking for that distance control and that precision. It's going to offer that to that player. So overall, I think it's a really forgiving iron for what it is. Now, the ball speed drop, you're going to notice a little bit when you miss it. That drops. So distance, wise, you may not hit the same part of the green as you might with like a T150 or a PXG 03317 T. Something with a really hot face. Some of those misses may carry a little bit farther. But if you're a fairly solid ball striker just looking for a little bit more forgiveness, this 480 dB really does offer a lot of consistency. It offers good feel. It looks good, but it also gives you the ability to miss it and not pay a big penalty for it because it is oversized. It is a little bigger, and it does have a little bit more real estate there to hit it all over the face. So if you're a player who's playing something like a 620 CB, or you're a guy who played blades for a long time and you kind of haven't found anything in that kind of player's cavity that on the bigger side that isn't it's too hot or something like that. This thing here I think is going to be a good answer for that, giving you the ability to really dial in the distance while still giving you a little bit of forgiveness. You're still going to be able to work the ball. I mean, hit it both ways. There's no problem there. And, as much as I didn't get to have anything to go with the turf interaction, I'm willing to bet the turf interaction on this is going to be pretty good with that really aggressive pre-worn leading edge. I think it's going to get through the turf fast and not dig too much. But overall, I think it's a really solid iron. I think they did a good job with this thing from looks to sound, feel, everything. I would say they did a really nice job. And I know if you go online, they've got a handful of different shafts, all that you can kind of custom order, as well as go out there and find who's a fitter near you as well. But the new level 480 dB, really solid iron. I think they did a good job with it. And if you're someone who's concerned more about precision and consistency than distance, this could definitely be a really, really solid iron for you. So if you go to newlevelgolf.com, you can check out the 480 dB, and there's a whole 480 series as well. So this is the DB, which is going to be the larger one, and then you get into there's a TC. And then also an MC. So there's a blade, there's kind of a smaller cavity back to this in case you want something a little bit different. But they've got a muscle cavity, and they've got basically a standard DB. So really good setup. But the 480 series is really nice from New Level. So go check that out. Go at newlevelgolf.com. But a really good solid iron there. I like what they did. So now after that, we're going to get into interview with Dave Nevill from Callaway, talk about some Opus wedges. I'm excited to get those out. I'm actually taking them out today. I've got an Opus Platinum 60.8 Z grind. Really excited to kind of try that grind. I've hit that grind in the Jaws Raw when it first came out. They offered that, and now I'm really excited to hit it in this as well. So I've heard some good things about the feel of these Opus Platinums, so I'm excited to try it. And the new face, we'll see how that thing spins from all different lies. So hold on for that interview. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. But before we go, Olakai has a brand new shoe called the Makena, and it is the next generation of Olakai golf. The outsole, maximum traction. It's actually plated for maximum traction, and it has spikes that are kind of inspired by the waves of Hawaii. It's a fully waterproof shoe, so your feet are going to stay dry no matter if you're playing in the early morning in the dew, you get caught in a rainstorm, whatever, your feet are going to be dry with waterproof construction, and trust me, it's tested on some of the best courses in Hawaii, so they know it will keep your feet dry. On the bottom, it has good walk emblemized on the outsole, and it just kind of stands for, golf. It's a good walk spoiled. We've all been there. We all know how it is. It's a great walk that is just spoiled by golf, but that's why we love this game. And listen, Olakai, we believe in walking, so these are designed to keep you comfortable on your feet well beyond 18 holes. So you can walk 36, you can play an extra 9, you can go, hit the 19th hole, get back out there and play a few. But go to olakai.com, Olukai. Check out the new Makena golf shoe, and it's a really nice product. So All right, we're going to get into the interview with Dave Nevill, and we will see you next week.
All right, here we are. I told you we had a special guest today, Dave Nevill of Callaway Golf. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Hey, Nitson, how you doing?
I'm doing real well. So, as I said, special guest today. We get to talk about some new product that launched just this week, just the other day. And Callaway's got some brand new wedges out there. And I know with the Golf WRX crowd, we've been seeing kind of some prototypes in bags here and there from some of the what's in the bag photos. Come to find out, this is, I guess, probably the culmination of all those prototypes that we might have saw earlier this year out on tour. But how excited is it for you? I mean, I know you've been around a lot of club launches, but here we are, yet another one. Is it still exciting every time?
Oh, it is. It is. And this one is pretty special. You probably know that I've been working on wedges for a long time, I think over 15 years now, with different various companies. But with this wedge, we really wanted to approach things differently. And that is to make this not just kind of tour inspired, tour validated, but really tour designed. So these wedges in prototype form have been in play on the PGA Tour, even in majors going back to 2023, to the Masters of 2023, and Opus prototype being put in play. They were in the Open Championship last year. They were in the Ryder Cup. They were in the Tour Championship. We got our first win with them with Chris Kirk with the Opus prototype at the Tournament of Champions. Now, a lot of people didn't know that we had the Opus prototypes out there because we were actually kind of camouflaging them under the Jaws Raw name. For those who are on the YouTube, they can see it. But basically, it looks like a Jaws Raw, but it's really the Opus prototype. And what you see here for this S6 relates to the idea around shape 6. So we've been testing various different shapes out there, getting feedback from some of the best players in the world: Xander Schauffele, Yuka Saso, Rose Zhang, Akshay, and even other ones that we can't even mention. We were I won't say. I'll let you guys guess. Giving us feedback on the shape, and so where we ended up was this 6th prototype. So we've been stamping it with kind of the S6 as a little nod to that. And then what you saw in May at Charles Schwab is we started to have the actual Opus cosmetic, but it's really allowed us to have just an amazing tour launch. And in fact, we've got 2 major wins before we've even launched this club. One was Xander Schauffele at the PGA Championship with the Opus prototype, and then Yuka Saso at the U.S. Women's Open with the S6 prototype as well. So Opus already getting in play, Opus already winning with Chris Kirk and Rose Zhang and Xander Schauffele and Yuka Saso. And so instead of just bringing it out at the Travelers and trying to get folks into it, maybe trying to get 6 or 7 in play, I think last week we had something like 35 or 36 Opus wedges in play, and I think at the Open Championship we'll have similar type of numbers. So it's been an amazing process, but it's good to kind of finally see it out there.
Yeah, I remember doing I do a little what's in the bag videos every week. I remember seeing those S6s and kind of just speculating on, what it could possibly be and all that. So now that we know that it was the 6th shape, so
we wanted you to speculate. We wanted we wanted the WRX crowd to be, asking questions about what is this all about. So that's why we kind of did the Jaws Raw cosmetic, but with the Opus shaping, the Opus groove package, the grinds from Opus as well.
Yeah, interesting, and that's pretty cool to kind of get that little nugget of information and that's kind of backstory on this whole line, and it's pretty interesting because I think also a lot of golfers, they look at wedges, and probably wedges when you compare them to say drivers, they look at there's no tech. When you compare it to a driver that's multi-piece and all these different things, and you start looking at wedges, but we've got 2 wedges, Opus Platinum, and it seems like we are packing a lot of tech, and it looks like the future of wedges, there's still a ways to go too. It's not like we're just here we are and this is it. There's still some technology to be pushed, but what is it the big thing has got to be faces. Looks like we got kind of 2 face technologies going that are brand new, the Face Blast and the Spin Gen Face. So talk a little bit about, spin with wedges is that's what everybody talks about, what wedge spins the most, but what are we doing with the face on Opus to kind of generate, more spin, consistent spin, and all that?
Yeah, so the overarching, the umbrella term is spin gen technology, and you cover that, but there's really kind of three pieces underneath that. The number one is we've added 3 grooves to the sand and the lob, 2 grooves in the gap and the pitch. And so they're more of a narrow pitch. People think, oh, you just throw as many grooves on there as you want. It doesn't work that way. There's rules with the USGA in how far, the spacing, all of that. So we wanted to keep a really aggressive groove. So we still have that 37-degree wall angle groove. We call the most aggressive groove in golf. We still have that, but now adding 3 grooves to the face really helps as the ball rolls up the face to lower the trajectory and to give you more spin. So that's kind of piece number one. That's really helping you on full shots. And then as you get closer to the green, we have this aggressive face blast on there. The texture on it, very aggressive, using a different kind of quartz 200 face that we haven't used in the past. So this is really helping you probably 30-yard shots and in. As it gets slower, you're not activating the main grooves as much. And then the other piece is the micro features, so the offset groove and groove. So a lot of players, I'm holding this wedge up, as they get closer to the green, they tend to open up the face of the wedge. Now you have these offset groove and grooves are now straight as you kind of open up the wedge. And that's really helping on partial shots, talking like 10-yard shots, 20-yard shots, to give you kind of maximum spin. So kind of attacking it from both the full shots, the mid-range shots, and then the shorter shots as well. That's all under this kind of umbrella of the spin gen technology.
Yeah, and basically, like you said, the kind of the offset groove and groove only on the lower wedges, because typically, I guess, with say a 48-50, you're probably not going to open the face of that up too much.
Yeah, they don't hit flop shots with the 48. At least you don't see that very often. But as you get closer to the green, those shorter shots, that's when people are opening the face. And we did a bunch of research around that and found that most players on lob wedges are at least opening the face at least 10 degrees on almost every partial shot. So people have asked, well, the offset groove and groove, does that impart like side spin on full shots? No, because you're swinging it much faster. That's where the main grooves come into play. This is really on those short shots around the green, out of the rough. The other thing I'll say with the spin gen technology is really helping us with the trajectory control. And that's one thing that you're going to see with both Opus and Opus Platinum is a lower launch. It used to be hit the 60 as high as you can and, drop it down that way. But that's not what you see better players doing. That's not what you see on tour. They're launching it at 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 30 degrees with a controlled trajectory with tons of spin. And sometimes you'll see people watching the tour guys at the range, and they're like, oh, I think he sculled it. And I'm like, no, he didn't scull it. He was trying to do that on purpose. So really kind of helping the lower the trajectory as well.
Yeah. And is that something like that, because I know that's kind of been a focus of, you look at a lot of wedge, new wedges that have come out, and that's kind of the key recently, I feel like, has been kind of a lower, more penetrating launch. Yeah. Is that something that like the pros have been doing for a while and we're just now catching up as amateurs? Or is this kind of a shift in what they've been doing on tour?
Yeah, it's definitely a trend. And a lot of times, this is where getting that tour feedback is so important, because you see something happening out on tour and then it applies later to more of the general golfing population. So you saw a lot of players trying to control that trajectory with their technique. And now it's actually embedded into the wedges. So like the Platinum line, which we'll talk about, but it has tungsten high on the face. And that's really helping to get you about 2 degrees lower launch, which is significant. You're going to be able to see that in the shot. So the wedges are now kind of following the technique and what tour players want to see. A lot of tour players, they play obviously in difficult conditions, but it gets windy as well. They do not want to see the ball floating in the wind with a 60-degree wedge. They want that ball to come in hot and have the control to land and stop where they want it. And so that's now bleeding into the wedge design.
Yeah. And then, like you said, you mentioned, we've got Opus and Opus Platinum. Let's start with Opus. What's kind of the big one? We talked about the spin on the face. Yeah. What is kind of like the next thing also? What's kind of the big difference between somebody who's maybe playing an MD5 or a Jaws Raw?
Yeah, so we're bringing from the tour is an all-new grind. So we have the T grind there, and this has really been the most popular as we've gone through that S6 kind of prototype shaping process. We were calling it, we had the C grind out there, but then we needed something we were calling a narrow C, and that's a little confusing. We don't have C and narrow C, so T is kind of a tip of the hat to the tour as a tour grind, and this is really going to play with low bounce, right? And this really is for that player who's a shot maker, a good player, lower handicap, tour players. They're going to love the T. But we still have the C grind in there. You can open it up. You can hit all the shots. It's going to be a little bit more forgiving than the T. And then the S and the W, these are two of our go-tos. So the S is going to work in all conditions. And then the W, if you need more bounce, if you play out of soft bunkers, if you need more forgiveness, that's going to be our wide sole. So you've got kind of the spin gen, you've got the trajectory story, you've got new grinds, you've got the kind of tour shaping involved. And then even as you get down to the options, we got an all black finish. We've never been able to do that. I got one over here before. Never had full permission from the big guy to black it out. So we've blacked it out, calling it a black shadow finish. I think it looks amazing. It is a QPQ finish there as well. So we've got that, and just a lot of different options in the lineup. Like we said, four grinds, and that's before you even get to the platinum line.
Yeah, and then like you said, with the standard Opus, it's kind of got a little bit of a similar construction technique to previous wedges, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of it's a cast.
Yeah,
it's a cast wedge.
Cast wedge,
still soft.
8620. Yeah, similar to what we use Jaws Raw, and that's what a lot of the competition is using out there as well. And it's been great. Allows you to really get precise grinds when you're doing that. 8620 still feels soft, been used for years, but we wanted to be an innovator. We wanted to do something different. So in the platinum line, this is an all new MIMmed construction. Some people familiar with MIMmed, others not. But metal injection molding, it's not cast and it's not forged. So I think it's really interesting. It's kind of like a third type of construction, but gives us full control over the materials that go into it. And what does that do? It allows us to control the feel of the wedge. And so you'll notice on Opus Platinum that it definitely feels softer than a traditional 8620 wedge. And that's on purpose. We really wanted a lot of people that softness equates to the feel, equates to premiumness, and gives us kind of full control over what we do with that. It also allowed us to have that tungsten bonded to the top line. So that's where you're going to see that trajectory control. So it has the same shaping, so it's the S6 shaping, but all different feel to it, and then a different trajectory as well with tons of spin.
Yeah, and then that's pretty interesting. I mean, we've seen wedges with multi-piece, multi-material, but not kind of like this. It doesn't seem.
No.
I don't remember seeing anything kind of just high off the toe. I've seen some wedges that maybe shape the top of the wedge a little bit to try to move some of that weight up there. But how much more effective is taking a big plug of tungsten and sticking it up there as opposed to just making the top a little bit thicker?
Yeah, it's very effective. It's 17 grams per cc, so it's very dense as you compare it to steel. And we've used tungsten on Jaws Raw, but it was used in a different way. So we had tungsten in the weight ports. That was really to move the center of gravity away from the hosel, because wedges tend to have long hosels. Center of gravity can get kind of heelward. That gets squirrely for some players. This is really a different way of using tungsten, putting it in the top line. So yeah, there's different, and we've done things like having thicker top lines and all of that. It can only go so far. But when you put tungsten in there, and you don't need to put a massive amount in there, but it produces a noticeable difference. And you're going to see that a few degrees is going to equate, 5 to 10 feet when you see that. And they come out low, but they're coming out with great trajectory and a lot of spin.
Yeah, and then also kind of two, not two different grinds, but additional grind in the Platinum, in the Z grind. What is kind of the Z grind for? Because also in the Platinum you get the S, which is kind of the bread and butter. But what is kind of the Z grind in that option? What are players going to gain out of that?
We looked at the Platinum line. This is really kind of our innovation line, a more premium line. We didn't want to duplicate Opus. We don't have two full lines. That'd be a little crazy, a little bit over the top already. We got a ton of SKUs. I think the number is like 87 different options that we have in there. So we're focusing on sand and lobs here, but the Z grind it's kind of a forgiving low bounce option. So it's a little bit more forgiving than say the C grind, and we don't have it in the main line, but we put it into Platinum because it's very versatile. So even for a player, maybe they're a little bit steep, they could still use that Z grind because it has a tri-level sole. So it actually has a lot of bounce on the leading edge, but plays kind of lower to mid bounce. Then the S is going to be absolutely money in a lot of different conditions. So we didn't want to go, another 4 or 5 grinds on Opus Platinum. We wanted to have this as kind of a premium line as well. We also have an all-new finish on the Platinum, both the Platinum Chrome, but then this Platinum Blue, which is just stunning. Beautiful, beautiful finish.
Yeah, the blue came out really, really good. It's almost so dark, and indoors it's here it's gonna look black. But when you actually get it out in the sunlight, you can kind of see that
amazing
that like
in
navy
sunlight.
blue.
We also blasted the face, which is going to help with the wear as well. So you kind of have that hitting area that's going to be blasted on the blue. And we've never done this finish before, so very, very cool. Kind of reminds you a little of the AI1 putters, but it's a little bit different as well. But gotten a lot of positive feedback so far on having that as the stock option. We actually looked at, should we do a black in the Opus Platinum and with the Chrome, but our whole sales team was just pumped on the blue, and they're like, make that one the stock option. So that's what we did.
Yeah, no, the blue turned out really, really good. And then I do have to ask, because I think a lot of people, when they look at the specs of both Opus and Opus Platinum, any reason why Platinum kind of stops at 54? Why aren't we seeing kind of the 50, 52 to go gap wedge, sand, and lob in the Platinum series?
Yeah, so a great question, and kind of 2 reasons for it. Number 1, I was talking about the tungsten, having the tungsten high on the top line, and really to kind of lower the trajectory. Now, if you put too much tungsten for a gap wedge or a pitching wedge, your club will end up going short. So we wanted to keep that in mind in terms of the gapping there as well. So the tungsten, like lowering the trajectory, more effective in the sands and lobs. So that's why you see it there. The other thing was just, as I was saying earlier, not having, going all the way and duplicating a line. This is a little bit more of a premium option as well. We wanted this to be kind of an innovation line, supplemental, and what we're doing here. A little bit like AI1 milled on the putters, where you've got the core line, but then there's definitely some options on the milled as well, but it doesn't duplicate the whole line. We're saying, like on Platinum, we have not just the DG mid, but it's a gunmetal version of it. Looks super cool. We got the Golf Pride multi-compound black and gray grip. Even the ferrule is kind of like the charcoal blacked out.
Yeah.
The recoil dart, which is the graphite option, that's a blacked out version of the recoil dart. So, just really kind of taking it next level to make it premium. But we didn't want to have 100 SKUs between the two lineups.
Yeah, I mean, when you walk into a retail shop and you offer 200 SKUs, the guy kind of looks at you a little funny, going, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's a lot."
Yeah, I mean, wedges, we all know that they should be fit, and I wanted to mention we do have an all new fitting system called OptiFit Connect that's coming out, and we've never really had. We've had a fitting methodology, but never a formal fitting system the way we had with irons. So that's going to be awesome. And then for the fitters, we're also going to have a fitting app to go along with that. We do have a self-selector tool out on Callaway, but we're going to be updating that as well. We know a lot of wedge selection is self-selection, which is not ideal for wedges. But people go into shops and they can't necessarily take it around the green or in the bunker or that kind of thing, and so they're either hitting it off mats or they're just buying it right there. So we need to do a good job on the education as well. But then to your point, we don't want to overwhelm people with options or like, I don't even know which one to pick, so I'm gonna buy something else.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, there is something where, a lot of shops you go to, they don't unfortunately have a natural, grass, short game area, bunker area, all that, where you can go and get fit or even try stuff. So, having the ability to have some type of app, at least kind of guide you in the right direction, is always big, because there's a lot of times you look at wedges and, people look at the bounce number and this one's a 10, this one's a 10 or an 8 or an 8, but they're different shapes and, they're going to play different.
They perform differently. And so part of what we're doing with both this OptiFit connect. It's going to allow you to do 2 degrees of loft. It's also going to allow you to do lie angle, because lie angle is big on wedges. You know, if you have the improper lie angle, you're going to get some hosel shots and some pretty weird shots there, and also how it goes through the turf. So that's part of the fitting system as well. Then the other worth mentioning is, like, we're going to have demo clubs all over the country. You know, hundreds and hundreds of locations are going to have Opus demo clubs. So my recommendation is to try to find a place, green grass, that'll allow you to demo it. You know, take it out there for 9 holes, or take it into the short game area and really try a couple different grinds. So many people just buy wedges and they're just like, you know, off the rack, and that's not a good methodology. Or if you're getting fit for irons, have a wedge be part of that iron fitting. You know, that's a big opportunity as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're already going in there and hitting, and also it kind of helps with also gapping too. Because I mean, if you're buying a new set of wedges or a new set of irons, and say you have something old and you go to like a Paradigm AI smoke iron, the whole wedge gapping may have to be changed as well, because things are longer and
that's a great point, because a lot of people are buying game improvement irons or players distance irons, and that's a reason why their name is players distance, right? They're designed for distance. The Opus wedge is not designed to hit them as far as you want. I mean, these are scoring instruments, scoring tools that are going to have the spin and trajectory, but they don't have face cups in them. We're not trying to hit them 180 yards. So a lot of players just assume that they can just gap straight into like a tour type of wedge, and that's not always the case. So that's another good reason to get fit, is to get the gapping to work from either your pitching wedge or your A wedge. Some people have the G wedge from their set as well, and kind of blend that in.
Yeah. So the brand new Opus, I know you've got time as well, but so brand new Opus. I mean, you've got wedge lofts from 48 all the way down to 62 or 60 or 62,
60
right?
degrees, yeah.
60, yep. So basically, something for everybody to try to fit that gap. It's pretty cool to see these. They look really good. You guys did an amazing job. Before I let you go, though, I got to ask, what's in your bag when you go to wedges? What's in your bag right now, Mr. Nevill?
Yeah, so I'm not afraid to admit that I have 5 wedges in the bag.
Wow, okay.
So pitching an A wedge from the Apex line, then I go 52, 56, 60. And in order to do that, I had to pull a fairway wood out of the bag. But, our friends from Arcos did a bunch of rounds with them and kind of seeing what clubs am I using, where the gaps are. And you don't want to have big gaps in your wedge side, right? So I've got, 10 to 12 yard gaps on each of the wedges. Got the W grind in the 52 and the 56. Ooh. And then in the 60, I'm trying the S grind, but I'm also trying the new Z grind of the Platinum. So I'll have to get back to you on which one's going to make it in the bag. But it is one of those ones where you go out and you try the Platinum, you can see a difference, and that's something we always talk about in R&D, is like, make it have a signal, so that when someone tries it, they're like, wow, this does what they're saying it does, and you're really going to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've got the Z grind right here, so I'm ready to as well give this a try, and excited to get out there and kind of see how it flies. So, brand new Opus Platinum wedges, CallawayGolf.com. You can go check them out, check all the specs, all the details. I do have to say, I like the site that you guys have kind of put on there. All the grinds, and kind of give a description of them all and what they're done. You guys done a nice job. There's a lot of info there. So, if you want to check these things out more, go check it out there. And then, as Dave said, definitely look for some fitting options around you, because yes, getting your wedges fit is a huge deal and can greatly improve your wedge game. So, Mr. Nevill, I appreciate the time, man. It was great talking some new Opus wedges. Thanks for breaking it down for us. It was always great. I love learning stuff from you.
Yeah, always great to talk to you, Brian. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you.